Are there any funding programs in Belgium for indie developers? This will get complicated. You have been warned.
Yeah, but first, hi, I'm Yves.
And this is Sarah. And we must talk to you guys about Belgium. Because today we chat with Jean-Michel Vilain, and he is the CEO of the indie development studio Abrakam Entertainment, and his studio is located in Belgium.
Yeah, and Belgium has somewhat of a complex structure when it comes to the division of the land.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, not everybody knows about this, and I was also amazed to learn about it a few years back. Actually, it's divided into 3 regions, and there's a French-speaking, a Dutch-speaking, and a German-speaking region. The Dutch part is called Flanders, and the French part is called Wallonia.
And the small German region is just called the German-speaking community.
Ah, very creative.
Yeah, totally.
And our today's guest, Jean-Michel, is from Wallonia, so the French-speaking region of Belgium.
Confused yet? Well, if you are, just keep on listening. You will understand this episode even without this backstory. Just remember the term Wallonia, and then you will kind of know what Jean-Michel is talking about.
Yeah, and don't worry, this did not suddenly turn into a geography podcast. This is Open Indie, and we talk about indie games. And today, Jean-Michel has a lot to talk about his new roguelike deck builder Roguebook.
Before we actually start, I have a quick warm-up for you. Are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
Jean-Michel, what was the first game you've ever played?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Everybody's saying that. That's a tough one.
Definitely Master System. Probably Psychofox Master System. A very nice platformer. You used to play as a fox, and there were 4 transformations available. You could turn into an hippopotamus and a ape, and I don't remember the last one, but yeah, it was very, very fun, and remember playing that one.
Cool. Yeah, I've never played that. And what was the last game you've completely played through, like from start to finish?
Probably Broforce.
Ah, okay.
Again, a sort of platformer where you can transform into many, many different characters.
And what did you like about it?
The vintage feeling and the explosivity of the arcade, the moves, the coolness of it, and the arcade feeling. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's dive into your game Roguebook, a roguelike deck builder which will be released on the 17th of June. So at the time we're doing this recording, it's going to be released in a week about. What's the story of Roguebook?
So Roguebook, yeah, it's a typical roguelike deck builder. It's something, a genre which people started to speak about, I would say 2 years ago, when Slay the Spire got released. And so Roguebook is about first the universe of Faeria. It's a continuation of our IP, Faeria. It's sort of spin-off.
Yeah, Faeria, your very first game, right?
Yeah, and the principle is that there was a magical book, the actual lore book of Faeria, the book in which you have all the stories and the legends of the world. This book, for some reason, has turned into a evil entity, and it's been stolen by Fugoro, one of our characters, who is a shopkeeper, who is actually a thief in his last hours. And he stole the book, and he actually made some mistake, and he left the book without attention. And so at some point, the adventurers that you are going to find the book and being sucked into it, and then this is where the chaos begins for the players. And so the idea is that the book is going to tell new stories every time you go back to it, and that's why we do the connection with the genre of a roguelike. It's like a whimsical book which makes always new adventure and actually reuses the lore of Faeria in its own fashion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just said it's set in a world of Faeria. So if people haven't played Faeria, what's the connection? What in Roguebook is from Faeria?
Oh, lots of things. Like the main point is that the book is full of the legends of the world of Faeria, like all the important characters. You can reuse them and use them in twisted ways. So you can find some of the environment, the places, and of course the main heroes of the game, which the player is going to select a pair from. So when you begin a run in Roguebook, you have to select 2 out of 4 heroes. So it's always a duo of heroes that you play, and these are the most famed heroes of the world of Faeria. Well, the ones we actually found to be the most interesting and also the most popular in the community of Faeria.
And how does the gameplay of Roguebook exactly look like?
So you have 2 aspects. First aspect is the exploration of the world book. When you begin a new adventure, the world is randomly generated, but you can't see all of it yet. So you have 3 chapters to go through, and when you begin your first chapter, you have to use inks and brushes that are given to you by a particular character, which is called Nadim. And Nadim is the actual only creation of the book, because all the rest of the things you meet in the book, it's part of the lore that the book reuses. But this character is a creation of the book itself, and is going to give you the brush and also the way to use inks. And those 2 tools will let you reveal, you have paper tiles that you need to remove so that you can see what's beneath, and you can find battles, encounters, specific stories that give you access to chaos, randomness, new cards, and yeah. So it's a game of this aspect of the game is about exploration. The goal of that game in itself is to explore as much as you can, so that you, before going to meet the boss, you're basically equipped well enough to go meet the boss. So that's the first aspect, and then the second aspect is a battle system in which you play cards. Each card is a move for one of your 2 heroes. You have, so say you play with the pair of Shara and Soroko. Shara is a damage dealer persona, and then you have Soroko, which is going to be somewhat a tank hero with more HP. And so it's turn-based, of course. You get 3 energy per turn, which you can use to play your cards. Every turn you get a new hand of 5 cards, but of course you can have modifiers and ways to gain to exceed about that. And one of the innovative aspects of this battle system is the hero that's in front is always going to be the one taking the damage during the enemy's turn. You can see the enemy's intents. During your turn, you can see what the enemies are up to. So, and every time you play a block card, the hero that plays that block card moves to the front. And we have implemented lots of mechanics in the game so that the player can take advantage of the swap mechanic.
Yeah. At first, when I played Roguebook, you gave us the demo versions of the game, so we could look into it. And at first, when I played it, like you said before, it totally reminded me of Slay the Spire. So I was like, okay, that's the same game. Yeah, and not like I love Slay the Spire, so I was like, oh, this looks really cool. You also, of course, have to battle with cards, and in both games, I really like how the monsters are created. Like, they're really funny and creative looking. Like in Slay the Spire, you have like this fluffy, flurry ball you've got to battle. And here in Roguebook, there's, for instance, a fish in a bowl, and he jumps out when he wants to attack you. So that's pretty cool. And as I went on playing Roguebook, I realized that there actually are differences compared to Slay the Spire. Like what you just described, you have to walk around in this book, you have to reveal the map first, and also this mechanic with the 2 characters who always switch places depending on which cards you play. That's also really, really interesting, and lots of strategy there.
Yes, clearly we won't deny this, that we took heavy inspiration. Well, it's more like concerning Slay the Spire, we decided on purpose that this is a starting point, and we didn't try to challenge every fundamentals in it. We decided to clearly, okay, this aspect, we don't question it. It's part of the roots of the genre, and we want to go start there. It's a sane basis, and we did many experiments before ending up on this exact dual hero system, which in the end is perhaps one of the most interesting aspects. It sounds a little easy, like as a unique selling point for the game, to say, okay, in this game you don't have one single hero, you have two of them. Okay, well, that sounds a little, short as a premise, but it's actually letting us do a lot of interesting things that we would not have imagined at first when we implemented this mechanic. And then we get to spend many prototype iteration in figuring out what is the exact trigger for the heroes to swap. At some point, every time you would play a card from a hero, he would move to the front. And we tried several stuff like that until we ended up, okay, it's just when they block that actually, if a hero is in the back and he blocks, okay, it is at that moment that he moves.
Yeah, you had some nice mechanics there, definitely. The game was co-designed by Richard Garfield. He's the creator of Magic: The Gathering. How did you two get together?
Yeah. It's an interesting story. So we were clearly, when we designed Faeria, very inspired by Magic, and probably the same way we've been inspired by Slay the Spire for this one. And I have a designer in the company, and we hired people from a little bit all over the world. And we even ended up with a game designer from Oregon, from Portland. And he lived with us for a few years and worked with us on Faeria. And then he left for Blizzard, where he worked on Hearthstone. And there at Blizzard, he met some former colleagues of Richard Garfield. And at some point, that person told our ex-employee that Richard was a big fan of the game he worked on. And so we actually got word of that, and we were super happy about it. Yeah, we just kept working on Faeria and some other projects at the time. And then, probably a year or two later, we had the idea, why not contact him? After all, if he could be interested by the idea of a roguelike deck builder at this stage. And so, it turned out he was super interested by this idea, and so we started to exchange lots aspects of the game and game design in general.
And what parts of the game are his handwriting?
Currently, he's been pushing us a lot in a few directions. One of them, the idea of having incentivizations for the players to draft as many cards as possible. So for him, it was a big flow in general in deck builders that naturally you want to thin out your deck a lot, often more valuable to remove stuff than adding stuff. That is a thing we did not see coming in. So Richard, who had lots of experience on deck builders that we didn't have, warned us about this, and so we decided to draw lots of design energy around that, and that's how the talent system got out. Mm-hmm. Once, imagine you have a deck of 15 cards, and then you get one more card, but this card is clearly above all the rest in terms of power level. Then why would you draft it? Why would you sink that card into more? You are going to decrease the value of your deck if you. So there are many ways to fight against that, and I don't think any games, at least that I've played, have paid as much attention as we did about that. And it's really difficult. It's really difficult to be doing, because, for instance, if you prevent players from skipping the picks, then you force players to draft cards. Then you get into the other extreme, which is, okay, this is going to, these three cards, I don't like any of them because all of them are out of my strategy. Mm. So you cannot, if you go to the other extreme, you are going to force people to play unfocused deck, and Okay, it's perhaps not the exact goal. So the finding a balance there is really intricate. So that's one aspect. Another more recent aspect in which Richard has pushed us is you have not seen it, I think, in the version you played.
Okay.
So we've implemented this very recently. So you know the cards daggers, which you create and you get to add daggers to your hand.
Yeah.
Now they stack. So that means that you get a vertical stack in your hand. Of course, so Richard, well, he was not complaining about that, but he find it too bad that when it's a weakness of those archetypes where if you want to have 10 daggers in your hand, your hand is cluttered, you can't draw anymore. And so he suggested that we instead stacked all these copies of those created cards. And so you may have now a stack of 20 daggers, if you like, maybe 40. Mm-hmm. We even printed a card which says double the amount of daggers in your hand.
Okay.
And so we decided to exploit the mechanic a little bit. And you have even, I think, a card called Dagger Cage, which will give you 1 block for each card, for each dagger in your hand.
Okay.
And so we decided to do such. The keyword for this is stack. They stack simply. It's a keyword, and there are a few other cards which can stack in other characters, not just Sarah.
Ah, okay. All right. So he really helped you with all these card mechanics and stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. That's great. Yeah. Roguebook is going to be released 1 week earlier. Did development go too well?
You could say that. Yeah, it's difficult to imagine. It's not something we have had for Faeria. For Faeria, we were a little too late, but we've improved our development techniques and how we actually manage the project. And I think all of it made it possible. And clearly, it is not going to compromise on the quality of what we will ship on that date. We will certainly patch the game with bug fixes and balancing, but so far the version looks really good.
But still, you are still on the development phase. What things are still left to do?
When you are 1 week before release, you have nothing important left to do besides tweaking a few numbers for the balancing of the game and actually doing as least changes as possible to not mess up with what is already stable. Okay. So we're really fixing the last bugs we can and doing very small tweaks. We are actually already preparing the next patch of the game.
Okay. Is it like a day 1 patch or is it something for later?
No, it's something for later.
Okay. And your first game, Faeria, how different is that game compared to Roguebook?
Yeah, it is a CCG. A common point is the two games are premium in the sense that you pay upfront money and you can forget about your wallet afterwards. So Faeria used to be a free-to-play when it got released, and we changed that.
True, yeah.
Yeah, we decided to make it free-to-play, but then we regretted that move.
Why did you abandon free-to-play?
It's difficult to make revenues out of free-to-play if you at the same time want to remain fair with the players. And yeah, it's not what we like anyway. It's not you probably have to do lots of things which we were not prepared to do. Like you have to analyze lots of data. You have to test pricing thresholds. You have to test also. When I say test, it's like lots of companies with big money. They send new cohorts of players by acquiring them via advertisement. Then they will A/B test them. So for 50% of the new cohort of players, they will test display the purchase discount pop-up after 10 minutes of play. For cohort B, they will display that pop-up after 2 hours of play, and then they compare how this translates into retention and monetization. And we were not prepared to do that, and it's not something we even enjoy doing. So it's we prefer really to spend our time, designing cool mechanics and just care about a playing experience and not a spending experience.
Yeah, I think that was a good decision, definitely. And gameplay wise, sorry.
Yeah, sure. I was going back to the gameplay. So Faeria is a much more traditional TCG. The fundamental thing is in Faeria is every turn you get to create one more land. You can choose the color of the land. If you choose a neutral land, and you can create two of them, the game starts with a blank board. So there is only water and your position and the enemy's position. And every turn the two players are going to shape the battlefield on which the action is going to occur. This lets actually players with lots of controls over the way they want to install their strategy, that control of the game. And we like that your moves in the first turn, where you are going to place your first lands, are going to matter even after 20 minutes of play, when you are maybe in turn 10 or 15. There are lots of consequences to every decision you take in a game like Faeria. This is a bit less the case in Roguebook, but in Roguebook the loop is different, since you are inside not just a battle, you are inside a run in which you are going to pick cards between every battle. In Faeria it's PvP constructed, and we try to push the boundaries of that and with all the novelties that the digital format offered.
Okay. Let's talk about your studio and about you. How did your career in the gaming industry start?
It started in the Paris-based studio Eugen system.
Okay.
I got hired as an intern first, as a designer internship, and then they decided to keep me. So I had the chance to work on the game called Ruse. Ruse. It's a World War II real-time strategy game.
Yeah, from Ubisoft, right?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. And so I spent 4 years working with them on that game. It was a AAA real-time game with the specificity that we didn't want the player to take too much advantage of the micromanagement, and we were quite looking at the opposite of StarCraft, where if you want to perform, you probably have to click 200 times the mouse per minute. So the goal was to make something real time, but where the micromanagement would matter a lot less. And then I left the studio in 2010 to go back with a friend, and we already had a game called Faeria back in the day, but it was a lot different. And then it evolved gradually into a card game. So it was not even a card game. It was more like a digital board game where you had to explore an island. And I would say then at some point, we said, why not letting the players create the places of the island? And so that's how the land creation mechanics of Faeria came out.
Okay.
But then the cards came after that. And so we made a Kickstarter in 2013. We had a Flash version, web-based Flash playable Faeria in 2013, and we raised I think almost $100,000. Was a tough one back in 2013, where in Europe where people were not too aware of Kickstarter at that time in Europe.
Okay.
And we were out of the blue, no IP, not famous people. And so we're very happy about that result. And that let us actually do a fundraising. So there was a local investor, not interested in the video game, but for certain reasons, they decided to invest in our company, and that way we actually got to take Faeria from a Flash prototype into an actual PC and then console title.
Cool. And 2013, you already founded Abrakam Entertainment, right?
Exactly.
Why did you call yourself Abrakam? Because of abracadabra?
Yeah, it has something to do about that. Abracamra actually means it was created as it's been said or spoken, and we like that phrasing.
How would you describe your beginnings as Abrakam? What went really well and what was very difficult?
It was very organic, very freestyle. Lots of things we wouldn't do again.
For instance?
It was hiring too many people too fast.
Okay.
Making sure everyone is feeling good in the foundation of the studio. When I mean the partners, the founders, that's I would say the two main things we would not do again exactly the same. And we were trying to do too many changes at once. We were running the marketing of Faeria ourselves. We were, of course, doing the development. We wanted to have it. It's been a free-to-play. It's been also something we tried to promote as an esport. So the game clearly has what it needs to be competitive. We've run hundreds of tournaments ourselves. There has been also countless tournaments held by the community. I think we've almost reached $100,000 of cash prize on Faeria.
Oh, okay.
From our pockets. And so we wanted to make an esport, free to play, PC, mobile. We had a mobile version of Faeria running at some point, and doing the marketing, all of that ourselves. And it was too much for, in particular, a market which we were also working on Faeria before a game like Hearthstone got announced, and it forced us to shift a few things in the game for sure.
Because of Hearthstone, then.
Yeah, it's Hearthstone. In some ways, created the standard of what a digital card game should play like.
Okay.
Perhaps it's not the best standard, but it was a great standard, and it was better than what we made it in some ways, like the pacing of the game, making sure that the games can end in a reasonable amount of time, and games before that could take almost 40 minutes in Faeria, and the turns were too long. So, but anyway, yes. So too many changes at once, and already building up a strong team and IP. There was so many things we tried to do, and it's already great if you can check 2 or 3 boxes.
Yeah, but you said in the beginning you also were too many people at Abrakam.
Well, we hired too fast, and the financial results of Faeria did not meet our expectations, and it did not let us sustain the amount of the burn rate, we say.
Okay, but Faeria, I thought, was quite successful actually.
It's been doing less than what we were looking for commercially. We find we did not change our mind. It's a good game. It's a really good game. It's also like I said, the market was led by Hearthstone, and so we had a timing issue. I think if we released the Faeria title that we released in early access in 2016, if we released that game, but 3 years or 4 years before, it would have been a totally different story. But the problem is in a market like free-to-play driven, clearly, when I say it's been doing, we've been doing not good financially. It was during the free-to-play era, which costed us a lot. So we took loans, and there was debts, etc. But the market it's a very tough market. Like the digital, it's probably the same for MMOs, but the digital card game market is players have to pay hundreds, thousands of dollars or spend thousands of hours to grind a decent collection of cards. And they need to keep doing it each time a new expansion comes out.
Okay.
Why would you move to the game next door? Even if some people claim it's a nice game. Why would you? So there is a very cannibalistic issue in this market.
But I would do it. I don't like grinding for cards, I must say, and I don't like spending thousands of dollars or whatever on card packages. So that's something I really hate. And I'm glad that games like yours or like something like Slay the Spire is out there, so I can finally enjoy a card game.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the reasons why I've quit Magic a few times when I was younger. Too many. It's very time intensive, and it's money. You have to spend money lots of at many occasions, and you never know when you're done spending money on these games.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, when so the spenders, they exist, and when they are active on one or two digital card games, there is no room for a third one in their wallet or time. So there is only a few winners in this kind of market, and we're glad we moved. We can foster the same kind of gameplay experience where we are on a pay to play model, and everyone is on the same level.
Yeah, I think so too. What, on the other hand, went really, really well at the beginning when you founded your studio?
Well, I think we were out of the standards, and it can be bad, but it can be good as well. So I think we've made a very original gameplay for Faeria, and very interesting and deep background story, lore, and the visuals. The artistic result is really good compared. We like what we did. We're glad to see the result, even compared to what they did with Hearthstone. We prefer what we did. It's probably selfish, but we're happy with that. And we know also that this can there is a audience for a little less comic style, art style, a bit more like a mix of Miyazaki, Western, but Japanese, and all of that is a difficult mix to get to work, but it worked. And I would say the thing that worked well also is the team we built in the end. The core team that's left in the studio is really amazing. And
how are you doing since the release of Faeria?
Even if the game looks great, the reviews are good for Faeria, etc. It was very tough financially for us, and so we were a bit tough in this a bit lost in this market of free-to-play CCG card games, and we didn't know exactly where to go. So we decided to actually do a partnership with Paradox. It's the Swedish publisher who is specialized in 4X games, and we've worked with them. So we kind of we left a small portion of the team work on expansion of Faeria, but we moved most of the workforce on a mobile project with them. So it was a sort of simplified Faeria for mobile, but on their IP Stellaris. And we did that for 1 year with them, and then the game launched, soft launch, I would say. So it's been under the radar. It's not been advertised as a Stellaris game. Yeah, it was only a mobile game. So Paradox was looking at invading the mobile market with their IPs, and we tried to help them with that. But unfortunately, we set KPIs as goals. So we target this level of monetization, this level of retention, this level of acquisition cost, and you have these 3 criteria that need to be met, and they were not met. So we did a few patches, but quickly they decided to cancel the project. And so we were kind of okay, let's find something else. And this is when we came up with the idea for Roguebook.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's great that you did that. It's really a great game. I really like it. From where are you getting your support from at the moment?
You mean support, financial support?
Yeah, financial support. Like you have a publisher, I think. Yeah. And is there also like funding in Belgium, or how does it work?
So we have been, like I said, we raised funds with a local investor who knows very little about video games. They actually learned a lot with us, but and right now the game Roguebook, well, we worked quite a lot ourselves on the prototype and doing stuff, and then at some point we signed a deal with Nakon, who is the publisher of the game, and they clearly fund the development from the moment we decided to work together in 2020.
Okay. And how did you two get together? Did you look for a publisher?
Yeah, we were looking for one since we did a self-publishing model for Faeria, and for Roguebook we decided no, let's not do the marketing, and let's not take the financial risk on this one, even if we believe in the project. And I've been pitching the game to several publishers, and in the end it's with Nakon we decided to partner. They are very close to us. They are in the north of France, in Lille, and we are, I think, only 200 kilometers away in Liège. And that's something that helps. Speaking the same language, knowing, it really helps. And also we were very confident, and the fact, the way we would work together, and clearly they give us, and to Richard Garfield, of course, the creative freedom we need, and this is great.
Yeah, that's cool. That's also very important. Are there any funding programs in Belgium for indie developers?
No. What do you mean? There are funding video game projects in Germany? We should move.
Is there anything in Belgium?
But there's very few things. It's very small. So we are in the French-speaking area of Belgium, and it's going a lot better. Well, not a lot. It's going better in the Flemish part, in the north. Going better.
Okay.
So clearly, to be bold, I think Wallonia is perhaps the most late. I don't know to say exactly, but we are very late for the development of games. I find in our region compared to all of our neighbors. Whether you look in France, where they've been doing games since they've been doing great titles since the 80s or the 90s, and in Netherlands they are doing very interesting things as well. More recent, and Germany also is doing a lot. There are lots of publishing structures, even not just studios, and UK they have of course a very important scene, but Wallonia is a bit behind.
Okay, but you still want to stay there, I guess, yeah?
It's not too bad to be the only ones to be, not the only ones clearly, but we are very few amounts of studios in Wallonia, and it's not too bad to be in this position, because we can, of course, select the best candidates. Lots of people want to work in our industry, and there are some schools now, so that's for some reason it's bad, but for us, for some other reasons, it's good to be there. So, and I'm really happy that I mean, if nobody does it, somebody has to make it. I mean,
sure.
Founding a video game structure in your own area, and we are very happy to be doing it.
Yeah, that's not too bad, definitely. How is it possible then to push the gaming industry forward in Wallonia?
Well, I think I was asked the question once at a sort of conference in Liège, and my answer is that there needs to be more money put at risk. There needs to be more failures for some success to emerge. So there needs to be money. There needs to be some people ready to lose money, unfortunately, to let some success emerge. Otherwise, yeah, it's always going to be a handful of indies developers are going to find a magical success on their own.
Yeah.
If it's not coming out of money, it needs to come from some successful titles which would attract light on the country and the region.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe that is the key.
Yeah.
So would you say your studio at the moment is doing good, or would you say you need more support?
More support is always welcome, as long as we know what to do with it, and we have a few ideas in the bucket, but we know what it is to be taking financial risk ourselves now. I'm not saying we won't do it again. We would be glad to be doing it again, but we want to build something more solid before going into that area. Well, it's difficult to say, but yeah, if there were more support from the state here in Belgium, I think we would get faster than what is probably possible to self-publishing. It's something clearly we want to go back there, but we know a little better what it takes. But more support would of course help in this aspect.
Okay, yeah. So what are your goals? How successful do you wish for Roguebook to be?
Well, what I wish is to read lots of positive reviews and watch people playing the game over Twitch. This is what makes my day sometimes, is to watch somebody having great moments over a stream, and we stay silent most of the time, but we really spend, many of us at the studio spend lots of times after work, sometimes during work, watching people play our games. Okay. And that's actually what we like most. It's for that, I would say Twitch is a wonderful tool for game developers, because it tells you so much about what you've made, and so we considered doing an early access for Roguebook at some point, and we changed our mind, but we still did we did participate in the Steam Demo Festival in February, and that was the occasion to watch people not understanding certain things or having particular fun playing certain combinations of cards, and there is no way for us to learn more about the current game and what we would do next, maybe. So that's definitely what we look for.
Wow, that's great. And how successful does Roguebook have to be? Like, for instance, how many sold copies or so did you set for a goal?
That honestly, I prefer not saying. It's first of all, to not bring the misfortune to us.
Okay.
I prefer to have no low expectations. We've had many expectations for Faeria, and it needs to be particularly the case when you took all the financial risks. But for Roguebook, we took low financial risks, so we don't need to think too much about the success.
Just roll with it.
Yeah.
Are you already thinking about your next project?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sure. We need to. We want to keep doing great games if we can, and it's difficult to say, but for the moment there are many things on the plate. So to give you an idea, Faeria we started from a blank page almost. Just there was magic, and okay, let's do something very innovative, and it was a board game, a digital board game, as I told you at some point, which we prototyped as a physical board game. So we started from a blank page with Faeria, and it took us years to arrive, and we were learning a lot, of course. It was our first experience as a team, and with Roguebook, we did not start from, like I said, we did not start from a blank page. We started from Slay the Spire as a route where to explore. And for the third project, I think we should go back to something in between. I would like that we make something that can't be compared to, like, go back from a blank page again, and risk that. But I think we've gotten more wise. I mean, I don't know, experienced. Simply, you could say we have better intuition. That we have a better intuition now of what can work and what could fail as a commercial, and also there needs to be a commercial goal in a way. But of course, we look at the experience, the game experience we ourselves want to play, and this will remain the first objective for us.
Okay, but you will stay in the card battle genre, right?
We don't exclude that.
Okay.
Yeah, we will stay. So we'll try to stay in some ways with cards, but to give you one teaching with Roguebook compared to Faeria is when we play the game with we show the game to people for the first time. I've been doing that a lot for Faeria, by the way. I've been to Gamescom in Köln. I've been even in PAX Seattle. I've been in Essen at the Spiel.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, twice. And so on those at least 4 events, I was presenting the game to everybody coming, walking around the lanes of the event. And it's totally different to be presenting a game like Roguebook, simply for the reason that you have big characters, big sprites hitting each other, and it's not that abstract. It is. We were not sure about that. It's been a huge section of the budget for the development of Roguebook to make all these well drawn and well animated, and with all the sound design also that comes with it. Something we want to, if possible, of course, it's something we want to look at having in the next game.
Really excited about that. Now, what would you tell indie developers wanting to start a business in Belgium?
Well, make games and share them with people. Watch them play your games, and try to budgetize something to not have a game in 2 years. I've tried to have a game in 2 months or 6 months, no more than that, and put it in the hand of players as quick as you can, and don't be discouraged at looking. Don't be afraid of be disappointed at looking at players looking your game. It will only tell you more about yourself and your capabilities and what you need to improve.
Sarah.
Yes.
Do you think Roguebook will have the potential to break your Slay the Spire addiction?
It will be hard, I think. I also, I don't know, my gut tells me that at first it might be difficult for Roguebook to find players, but maybe if people will hear about Richard Garfield, who co-designed it, and that the studio also made Faeria, then maybe people become interested. From my part, I can really recommend it. I have never thought that I will like it that much, so maybe I'll switch from Slay the Spire to Roguebook.
Well, we definitely wish Abrakam Entertainment and Jean-Michel all the best for the launch.
Concerning Open Indie, we are going to take a short break over the summer.
Yeah, if you liked our podcast so far, thanks for listening, and keep recommending us and visit us on our website. And after the summer, we will be back with new stories from indie developers all around Europe.
Exactly. Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned and enjoy the summer.
Da 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 da.
Oh, summer.